everybody.
I thought you were doing the intro.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to the Tim and April show. I am April Ajoy.
I'm Tim Whitaker. It's been over a year, April. We still don't know who's doing what on this show.
We've been doing better, though. I feel like we haven't had as many flubs.
As our chemistry gets better and better on the air, I think we could just kind of read each other's minds, except for that
like
one. We all make mistakes.
And chap lips and things like chemistry.
Oh, what a throwback. That's a great album for those who know.
It is a great album.
The legendary band known as Relient K. That is a banger of an album. So anyway, friends, welcome into the channel. I am Tim Whitaker. That is April Ajoy. We are live on YouTube and live on Substack. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Substack, hit that heart button. Consider restacking this live. Helps get this out to more and more people. Good to see everyone in the chat. Today's show will be a little bit, maybe different is a good way of putting it. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to be focusing as much on current news, but kind of try to do more of an explainer of how so many evangelicals easily become MAGA. Like why that jump from being a part of specifically MAGA church culture, not MAGA church, mega church, mega church pastors.
Same thing.
And how so many of them have become MAGA and are MAGA, and the similarities between those two ideologies and why there's so much overlap. And just kind of explain it for those that don't come from that world.
Yeah, I think that is well put. Obviously, we are following news. We are watching what's happening in Tennessee. We're watching the in real time rollback of black voting rights. It's a huge issue, and we are covering that. We will be covering it in the future. So we do see that. But for this episode, we wanted to talk a little bit more about the link between this evangelical megachurch culture and this MAGA world. Also, before we get into that, really quick, we are doing a live event. We've been announcing this now for a few weeks. May 17th, it's a Sunday. We will be in Sarasota, Florida at Harvest Church doing a live podcast episode. It's totally free to attend. There's no cost. There's no ticket. Just show up. Hope to meet some of you who are in the area. And we are figuring out a way to broadcast it live as well on YouTube. So stay tuned for those details. But we are so pumped to do an in-person, really our first ever in-person Tim and April show live. So that's going to be a great time.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Greg Laurie's Harvest Church.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great, for the sake of this live, that's a great disclaimer. This is a different Harvest Church in Sarasota, not at all affiliated with Harvest Church, hosted or run by Greg Laurie. Also, the live is being produced by the New Evangelicals. That's the organization that produces this show. It's a nonprofit organization helping people find a better path forward in faith. If you are looking for a better path away from Christian nationalism as a Christian, check out the New Evangelicals. They have all kinds of free resources, and we will be hearing a little bit more from them later on, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I mean, sheesh, April, where should we even begin? I mean, this is quite the spaghetti bowl to parse through, I feel like.
Yeah, so I think we're going to show you a few examples in video clips of random pastors in this space and how they're political and just some of the talking points that they have. But I think maybe before we get into it, I just want to I want to say what are some similarities between mega churches and mega church pastors and the whole MAGA movement. And honestly, I think there's similarities specifically with Trump and mega church pastors. Like if you think about it, the way that Trump has mannerisms and the way that he talks and like inflates numbers, makes up facts, makes up statistics in the moment to prove his position. Like the mega church pastors do that all the time. They'll say, oh yeah, last week we had a stadium crusade and 5,000 people got saved.
5,000.
We had 3,000 baptisms. Like it's always a perfectly neat, even number.
Especially around Easter, right? The churches
Yes.
have got to brag about how many souls their mega church Super Bowl Easter service harvested for the kingdom. So sometimes
Right, and
you kind of feel like churches are kind of competing with each other. Like church down the street had 1,000 salvations, but church up the street had like 1,005, and they have to make sure that they're very specific on that number. So there is that kind of competition too. I have found being in church world.
Yeah, and think of like Trump where he's like, I've solved 8 wars, and like that number fluctuates too. Like I do feel like the numbers game is very similar. Also,
Yeah.
in church
Yeah.
culture, you have this phrase that's called "Don't touch God's anointed," which is a
Yeah.
Bible verse that is used to basically get people to, if a scandal were to break out and a pastor is involved or someone that has spiritual authority, you're not supposed to talk ill of them. It is not your
Right.
job because you don't touch God's anointed. This person's been called by God. It doesn't matter what scandal they're a part of. It doesn't matter what they're being accused of.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be the one to quote
Right.
unquote cause division,
Right. Right.
because that in it of itself is a sin.
Right.
And you see that easily flip over into MAGA world, where look at everything Trump
Oh my God.
has done and is doing that
Yeah.
is terrible, and the MAGA members, the Trump supporters, immediately defend. They don't touch God's anointed. They find ways to justify it. Like that culture is identical.
Sorry, my phone got that buzzing, so I had to pause it
Oh,
because it
you're
was
fine.
annoying me. Yes, that's completely correct. I maybe just a brief explainer. Mega churches are usually measured. I think if you have an attendance of like over, I think it's 2,000 people, something like that, or 5,000, that makes you a mega church. Mega churches account for about 1 in every 4 church attenders, so they're not the most powerful mover. But however, some of the bigger ones have a lot of political and cultural sway. They have a lot of money, and the mega churches are usually built around someone's personality. Okay, so the way it usually works is, we'll use, for example, Elevation Church. This guy named Stephen Furtick starts Elevation Church back, I think, in the 90s. His personality, his charisma, his ability to speak is what grows the church along with their worship band. That then becomes the main draw for people, right? So a lot of these churches are built around usually one male figure that is kind of seen as the person being used by God to do great things for the kingdom. Don't forget, friends, in this theology, they believe that folks who are not Christian are going to burn in hell forever, mainly folks who are not Christian like them. So they have an immense focus and effort on saving souls for the kingdom. So if there's some charismatic leader that is drawing people to the church by thousands and thousands and thousands, right? And they are saving souls every week. In fact, Josh Howerton, who we're going to talk about in a minute, just bragged on social media how they're about to baptize over 550 new believers, right? Trying to show how impactful their ministry is for the kingdom. When you have that in the back of your head, of course you want to protect the person who's at the center of saving souls from the pit of hell. That's how the logic kind of works. So these systems usually are going to prioritize the leaders and the charisma that keeps the people and the money flowing, usually at the expense of people who get really hurt by these churches in really dangerous ways. And again, we're going to cover a few of these examples so we can kind of paint the parallel of why so many of these church leaders and congregants find solace in MAGA, because there is some direct overlap.
Yeah, and there's some other similarities. Protect the ministry no matter what. And Republican, protect the political party no matter what.
Yeah.
You've got echo chambers. You've got conformity over community. Even though they
Yep.
say community, it's whether or not you happen to believe the exact same things.
Yep.
Not about what you do. It's about whether or not you hold the same positions.
Yep.
And then there's just an unwillingness to learn new things, because you are truth. You're on the side of truth. That you believe without a shadow of doubt, and you're told, do not have any doubts. We are right.
Yep.
Anything that goes against what you believe is an attack from Satan.
It's fake news.
Yes, or fake news. So
right? It's just not true.
You're already primed. And even going to the conspiracy theories, when you are an evangelical, especially if you believe in a premillennial dispensationalism, which is a belief in the rapture, you already believe pretty bizarre things. And so moving into QAnon, and there were a lot of articles that showed a direct pipeline between white evangelicalism and QAnon. It's easy to jump into conspiracy theories if you already believe that there's a big bad Satan behind just regular people who just happen to vote differently than you.
That's right. There's actually a book on this that I'm reading right now by our friend Jared Stacy called Reality in Ruins: How Conspiracy Theory Became essentially like kind of part and parcel of the evangelical world, and he does draw many overlaps to the QAnon conspiracy that was believed by many white evangelicals and the nature of the theology that white evangelicalism teaches. I'm not sure about you, April. I was taught very early on not to believe the scientists because the earth was created in 6 literal days. Anything else is false. It's not true. It's from the world. I was taught that in the Bible, the snake in Genesis or the serpent definitely talked, right? I was taught to believe that, but not to believe modern science around what we know about the world and the origins of life. So when you're a child and you're growing up in a world that is giving you a foundation where it's easy to believe that serpents talked or that Adam lived to be 900 plus years, right? But you don't trust modern science. You don't trust the quote unquote world's logic. It obviously primes people to believe in conspiratorial thinking because they're already suspending so much rational belief to get to the positions that they tend to hold. And I want to be clear. Many Christians don't hold those views. Many Christians are science informed and are still very much Christian. There are many ways to reconcile both of these things that we don't have time to get into today. But this is specifically regarding the white evangelical, like fundamentalist world. And so there's clearly an overlap once you understand how you have to suspend so many. I mean, I'm not sure. Again, April, I'm not sure about you, but I remember being like maybe 17. And I'm like, okay, so marriage is between one man and one woman for life. Wait a second. If Adam and Eve were the first 2 people to ever exist on the planet, how did they hold to that standard without it getting, really weird, like really quick, like incestuous, obviously? And the answer I was told was, well, sin wasn't as like effective back then. Sin has only gotten worse over time. That's the excuse I was given to suspend the logical question of, if marriage is this, then how does this work in the Bible? And the answer was, well, sin wasn't a thing like it was today. What? That makes no sense. But I believed it. I accepted it. And I moved on. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah,
totally. So I want to point out, all the people that we're going to be playing clips for you for are, they're all pastors. I would lump them into the Christian nationalist category.
For sure.
But I don't think most of them, maybe not even all of them, maybe except for Doug Wilson, would use the Christian nationalist label. They would say that they're just good Christians
faithful,
that vote for biblical truth, and that
values,
it's a good Christian's duty to be a good American citizen. And so we will kind of show you kind of the sneakiness of Christian nationalism and why so many white evangelicals still to this day support Donald Trump in spite of everything. It's because you have pastors like these people that we're going to show you that sneak it in there.
And they're really good at social media. They have, some of these people have 1 million plus followers as pastors online. They reach hundreds of thousands of people with every single post. So they are effective communicators. They're just communicating propaganda ultimately. Okay, so you want to get to our first one that you gave me? Is it, this one? Okay. Oh boy. It's this guy? This is the one you want to talk to first that you have, right?
Sure, well, we can go with this.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is mega church pastor Josh Howerton. He's a pastor in Texas. He's gone viral a few different times for all the wrong reasons. He went viral a year or 2 ago because he was talking about a wedding and how the woman, like when you're getting married, I don't know if you could find that clip, but basically the gist was, when you're getting married, the man in the wedding will do what the wife says, stands where she wants you to stand, says what she wants you to say, dress how she wants you to dress, because the wedding is for her. But the wedding night is for him.
Okay, I think I found it.
Okay.
I think I found it. Let me see if this is right.
It probably is.
Let's see. Here we go.
She got her first wedding magazine when she was 14. She draped the blanket around her like it was her wedding dress when she was a teenager. She did the towel over her head. It was a little veil, all the stuff. She's been planning this day her whole life. So here's what you need to do, man. When it comes to that day, Just stand where she tells you to stand, wear what she tells you to wear, and do what she tells you to do. You'll make her the happiest woman in the world, okay? Now, I got an amen. Let's see if you amen this. Now, ladies, when it comes to his wedding night, he has been planning this day his whole life. So just stand where he tells you to stand, wear what he tells you to wear, and do what he tells you to do, and you're going to make him the happiest man in the world.
There you go. That's Josh Howerton. Just given that, I mean, super solid. Wow.
So he went viral for that. Obviously, that's very misogynistic, bro.
Well, sorry, go ahead, April. I'm passionate. I mentioned that I might get fired after this episode. I'm so worked up over some of these clips, but that also contributes to assault culture. Stand where he tells you to stand, do what he tells you to do. That's very different than the notion of a woman planning a wedding and asking you to stand in a certain place. These are not equivalent things. And by the way, many men, including myself, help plan our weddings and we're very excited about them. I mean, call me not a real man, but I was looking forward to my wedding day because of the actual wedding ceremony. But that advice of just telling women to do whatever a guy tells you to do is so built into the megachurch evangelical culture, even by churches that claim to be, egalitarian, meaning women can lead. It's still very much misogynistic. And that advice, especially for two presupposed virgins, is so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Oh my gosh. There's nothing funny about it.
I'm trying to remember. I do think he ended up giving a kind of a half apology. If you were offended, I'm sorry, but it was just a joke kind of thing.
Okay, Josh, hilarious. Okay, anyway.
But there are people in this world that believe that once you say I do, that equals consent for everything.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Okay. So, all right. So this is our first clip. This is Josh Howerton, who you just heard, asking, was Jesus actually woke? A pastor's response. Let's see what he has to say.
This is left-coded Christian nationalism, what this guy is advocating for.
I wish I knew, because there's so many progressive Christians who pay attention to what the guy actually says. You look at Matthew 25, right? That's Jesus giving his marching orders. He gives 4 criteria for what Christians or a Christian society will have to do. And it's to individuals and nations. And it's take care of the poor, take care of the sick, welcome the stranger, and be kind to those in prison. They don't do it. They don't follow the guy. They worship him, because that's a lot easier than following his inconveniently woke teachings.
Okay, so the implication that you'll see here is that conservative Christians, they don't follow Jesus. It's the progressives that do. I just want to say that. So really what he's implying is, man, you know who does follow Jesus? The people who are trying to trans the kids and voting for policies that have killed 40 million babies, actually committed a 6-time over Holocaust and LGBT, all the things. So those are the ones who are actually following Jesus, according to Mr. Fugelsong. He's trying to selectively edit Jesus as a mascot for his cause, but you got to remember this: Jesus is a Lord. He is not a mascot.
We just have to pause it here. I don't, and you're going to see this a lot, friends. These folks don't hear themselves. Notice how John Fugelsang, who, by the way, is a great person, he's a friend of the show. Notice how he actually cites what Jesus teaches. He gives examples of what Jesus in the gospel accounts teaches. Jesus says nothing about transgender people. He says nothing about abortion. He says nothing about LGBTQ everything. And then Josh has the audacity to claim that John is the one selectively editing Jesus, while Josh Howerton is being the faithful follower.
Also, it's just so...
Wow.
It's so sensationalized, the idea of quote unquote transing kids. No one, you can't. It's they treat being trans like cooties, it's something disease. You can catch.
Yeah.
Right. You're either trans or you're not trans. And I don't know if we want to bring it up now, because I'm pretty sure the trans issue comes out a few times in these clips. But the whole idea of mutilating kids does not happen. I pulled up a study. So there was a study done by Harvard, by the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health.
Okay.
Found little to no utilization of gender-affirming surgeries by transgender and gender-diverse minors in the U.S. They also found that cisgender minors and adults had substantially higher utilization of analogous gender-affirming surgeries than their trans counterpart, meaning there were more cisgender minors that had what they would consider gender-affirming surgeries than actual trans children.
They
also,
literally make up stuff. They make stuff up. And then they build entire political foundations that make people vote for a man who is actively destroying the fabric of our society and bombing kids in Iran. All because of the myth that we are somehow, quote unquote, transing kids, which is not actually happening.
It's not a thing. No one's going to school not trans and getting quote unquote trans by a like what? Teachers can barely afford crayons for all their students.
Right.
They can't just perform surgeries because no one's getting surgery. Here's the thing, just so you know, in 2019 the study found zero. There were zero surgeries performed on trans youth 12 and under, because before puberty, when a child is trans, it's literally just a social change. It's how they dress and maybe a name change, maybe pronoun change. Literally, that's it. There's no medical intervention whatsoever. And then even once you start doing some sort of transition, it's usually just puberty blockers or hormones, which again is not surgery. It found that between teens from 15 and older, so from 15 to adults, the rate of gender affirming surgery is 2.1 per 100,000 people.
Yep.
So that's hardly anything.
It is so rare. And by the way, it's none of Josh's dang business. Like, for all of his people talking about smaller government, they actually want the government to invade the lives of people that they think are like not good people. They don't care about small government. They care about the government not touching them, but they have no problem using the government as a weapon to oppress their neighbors. It is none of Josh's business what happens to a child who is working through their gender dysphoria with their parents and their physicians. It's just not his business. It's incredibly rare. It has no bearing on society. It has no bearing on my life, on your life. It has no bearing on the price of gas. None. Right. And you're going to see this theme a lot, friends. These pastors hit the same talking points every single time. It's transgender issues, it's abortion, maybe immigration, and occasionally you're going to hear socialism thrown in. That's all this is. It's the same stuff over and over.
I want to clarify. It was 2 per 100,000 people, which is that is an insanely small percentage. Between 15 and 17 year olds, and then 18 and up, it was 5 out of 100,000 people. And wild. A majority of those surgeries were chest surgeries. But listen to this. When considering use of gender-affirming breast reductions among cisgender males and trans people, the study found that cisgender, meaning they're not trans, cisgender males accounted for the vast majority of breast reductions, with 80% of surgeries among adults performed on cisgender men, and 97% of surgeries among minors performed on cisgender male teens.
But hey, Pastor Josh Howerton is being the biblical one here. He's the one standing on truth. He's the one preaching what Christ taught. Jarring. It's just wild to witness. My gosh. And again, these have massive influence. Right. These people go to the White House. They go to the White House to pray over the country. Josh Howerton does stuff with Paula White. These folks have immense power, and they're pushing nonsense.
Yeah, they literally, it's just talking points that is not backed up by any data. And even what he said about killing what did he say, 40 million babies?
Children.
He showed a picture of like a 9-month-old baby. 0 9-month-old babies have been murdered.
There you go. Yeah.
By because of abortion, you know.
Right. That's not happening. It's
No,
not happening.
it does not happen. That
Well,
would not be an abortion. That would just be a murder.
I think the stat is like something like 90% or something like that abortions happen in like the first 8 to 10 or 12 weeks, and I think it was 1% or less happen in the third trimester, which makes sense because at that point something has gone horribly wrong. People aren't just changing their mind on a whim, at week 32 or something. No, the nursery is built, the baby shower has happened, something has gone terribly wrong. But again, these folks have a narrative to push. This world is so built on dogma and propaganda, which is why it syncs so well with Trump. I mean, they are a match made in heaven. They believe in pushing narrative over any kind of facts, any kind of data. That's why right now, for example, right, RFK is limiting how the vaccine mandates that we know save lives, but he's entertaining letting minors use tanning beds. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Someone, help me.
Oh.
Help me.
Talking about gender affirming care, like.
Oh gosh. Here, we got a super chat. I'll read this here. Joseph Compton, I'm so sick of hearing them talking about transing our kids. There are 2.8 million transgender people in the country. Put that next to the number of total citizens in the country, 330 million. Yes, exactly, Joseph. Exactly. And thank you for the super chat. Any super chat gets read live and helps make this show possible. So thank you. Okay. We're getting through this, April. I'm still pretty calm, cool, and collected. Yes.
Press on.
Okay. Well, this gets even better. I think this one made me laugh. This one was good. So again, Josh Howerton like we said earlier, has a very lucrative and very big social media platform. So these clips do hundreds of thousands of views and likes. This one really got me. I'll let it play. And oh my God. Remember, we just heard Josh Howerton talk about how the left is so evil and so terrible because of transgender people and abortion. Here's him talking about Trump, the man who's best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and bombing kids in Iran and lies about everything.
You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
Bro, that's honestly like, I feel like you can hear a little emotion in him. It is a wonderful and good thing to have a president that cares about heaven. Like, this is actually a bigger deal than I think people will realize. He might be saved. And I want to talk about why. I had been able to have some conversations with people who work directly with the president. And I do know from talking to those people, he has people around him who have for years been clearly sharing the gospel with the president, like very, very clearly. So he does have that. I do know that after the assassination attempt, as would happen with most people who had a near-death experience, he had a significant moment of spiritual reflection in his life. And I do know that he prayed with someone in a very real way about his relationship with God. What you'll see is when President Trump says stuff like he does in that clip, what you immediately see is the reaction online is a bunch of like theology nerds who, have been in seminary for 50 years. They're like, see, this guy doesn't know anything. And they jump all over it. As a pastor, it's like what people don't understand about President Trump is he talks about Christianity like a normal blue-collar dude that didn't grow up around Christianity.
Okay, I can't take any more of this. I'm gonna literally lose my mind and throw my computer off a freaking cliff. I cannot. And maybe this is a good time to give our non-evangelical friends some insider baseball here, because if you grow up in this world, it's reinforced to you all the time that just praying a prayer isn't enough. You need to have a lifestyle of repentance that gives your heart to Christ. Where's the fruit of the prayer that you prayed? I mean, Donald Trump wouldn't be qualified to be a parking lot greeter in most churches. And Josh Howerton, a mega church pastor who claims to be speaking on behalf of God with his spiritual authority, is making a serious case that Donald Trump, who has no fruit of the Spirit, there's no love, there's no joy, there's no peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, or self-control. He embodies none of those things. Josh Howerton is trying to make a serious case to his followers that Trump might be saved. And how dare the theological nerds, which by the way is so funny because it's hammered all day to know your theology. When you grow up in this world, know your theology. What does the Bible say? Read the books, study the Word of God hard. Suddenly, that's all out the window. Oh, we're a bunch of nerds. We're so judgmental. Trump's a blue-collar guy talking about Christianity like a blue-collar man. Oh my gosh.
How in the world do you compare a billionaire like Donald Trump to a blue-collar worker?
The guy has gold toilets, for crying out loud. Yeah, just like me. I'm not sure about you, April. As a middle-class dude, as a blue-collar content creator, I got gold toilets everywhere. Come on.
Also, the music in the background. Notice how this one was like,
yes.
like really
yes.
like angelic almost. And then when he was talking about progressive woke, it was like,
It's all, but you know what? It's funny, but it's all intentional. I got to give it to megachurch culture because I've been a part of it, and so have you, April. They are really good at like production and getting certain emotional responses. They know how the human psyche works and what to do to get them to respond to things. That music is intentional. It feels soft. It feels loving. It feels sentimental, empathetic, right? So of course, let's have empathy for Trump as Josh narrates his potential salvation. Oh my gosh.
Why do you think at the end of their sermons, when they're giving the altar call, they have the keyboardist come up and play pads?
Exactly. But I think my favorite part about this whole video, though, is right here, where after Trump talks in like his most Trump way, Howerton says this.
Right? I'm going to be able to make heaven.
Bro, that's honestly like, I feel like you can hear a little emotion in him.
Where, Josh? Where? Like, where's the emotion? What are you talking about?
I just love how like those of us who are progressive now, like we're still Christian, you and I, to be clear, but we're progressive. We're not conservative anymore. And I get accused of like, oh, you were just never a Christian. Because if you would have ever been truly evangelical like us, you would have never left. So you were never, they say this to people who become atheists or agnostic. It's like, well, you were never saved. And then here's Donald Trump, who says like something that is so anti-evangelical. Like you say a prayer and you're in, right? There's no question on whether or not you get to go to heaven. And they're like, wow, I think he's saved.
I think he's saved.
If you and I said that, like, I don't think we're going to heaven. Like, well, that's proof right there.
Exactly.
They're not saved.
He even says, he's like, I could be in heaven right now on this plane. What are you talking about, dude? I think you need a mental evaluation. What are you all there? And there's Josh. You know, guys, I hear some emotion in him. You know, I think he's on the right path. That Trump, as we bomb children in Iran, as we roll back black voting rights because of the Supreme Court. Again, like, it doesn't compute with reality, but like we said earlier, friends, when you grow up believing that a snake really talked in Genesis 3 and that the earth is only 6,000 years old because you can't trust the science, it makes your brain susceptible to believing this stuff.
Yeah. It's so annoying.
I almost missed the news cycle. We got one more from Josh.
Yeah, last one, and then we'll move on to the next bad pastor.
Which one is this that we're doing? Let me look it up.
It talks about Christian nationalism.
Oh my gosh, Joshy boy. Okay. Also, the backwards hat. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I wear backwards hats sometimes, okay, but I also understand that I'm at the age where trying to look cool makes me look that less cool, and I think Josh is kind of at that point too. So I'm just gonna recommend to Josh, like, dude, just be you. We're old. We're not young anymore. Just embrace it, man. Buy the New Balances. Embrace it. Okay, here we go.
You guys want to see the play they're going to try to run on Christians for the next year to try to gaslight you into thinking that it's wrong for Christians to vote for Christian ethics? Check this out.
There's many different groups orbiting Trump, but the thing that unites them as Christian nationalists, not Christians, by the way, because Christian nationalists is very different, is that they believe that our rights as Americans, as all human beings, don't come from any earthly authority. They don't come from Congress. They don't come from the Supreme Court. They come from God.
Okay, we got a problem. Because number one, the idea that rights don't come from governments, they come from God, that's not Christian nationalism. That's this little thing called the Declaration of Independence. The first line of which says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Number two, if a government gives you rights, a government can take them away. Y'all, Christian nationalism is a scare label whose subtext is, we progressives can advocate for our values in the public square, but you Christians can't advocate for yours. Very frankly, if you're a Christian who's voting or advocating for God's values in the public square and somebody calls you a, quote, Christian nationalist, 99.999% of the time you just need to say, yep, I'm a Christian and I love my nation.
Okay, there's so much to say about this little thing. So this is absolutely covert Christian nationalism. He is not overtly Christian nationalist, even though he's like, yeah, I mean, if by your definition, sure. But the way that he said God's values and equated, what he means is that his conservative ideology is God's values.
Yes.
They're equating the two, which is very sneaky. And it's how so many just regular church-going evangelicals fall into Christian nationalism without realizing it, because they think, oh, well, if I support taking away trans rights, if I support taking away women's rights, if I support doing all these things, that doesn't make me a Christian nationalist. That's me standing up for God's rights. And also, what the F is he talking about in the Constitution? When the Constitution was written and said all men are created equal, we still had slavery.
You mean the Declaration?
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah. Constitution.
Yeah. Declaration. Yeah. But like when that.
Well, this.
Like, and here's the thing: Christian nationalists are trying to take rights away.
Yes.
Like
actively.
It doesn't matter what semantics you use of whether rights come from God or whatever. These people in this same group, and we'll show in a little bit, like Doug Wilson, who actively believes that the 19th Amendment should be overturned and that women should not be allowed to vote. So.
Yep. I'll just say two things about this clip. Number one, this clip that Josh shared of this woman on CNN making this Christian nationalism claim, he's right. This is a bad definition, like for sure. I would never subscribe to this person's understanding of Christian nationalism. But notice how Josh will never engage the actual scholarship or the actual people who are like studying this. He will find the one time some person on CNN makes a mistake and then uses that to paint the picture of what this whole scare tactic is supposedly of Christian nationalism is. That's my first point. The other thing, though, is the Declaration says are endowed by their creator, not by the Christian God, not by Jesus Christ, but by their creator, meaning whoever you think your creator is, that's the person. And that's the deity. It doesn't say the Christian God. And number three, Josh said that the government gives rights, they can take it away. That is true. Governments can do that. The government can take away rights if certain thresholds are met. And that's why we have these huge, complicated sets of laws and court rulings trying to navigate those things. That's how a government functions, Josh. People like Josh do not believe that all men are created equal. They don't believe that trans people are created equal, that the immigrants are created equal. They don't care about those people at all. They're always going to do whatever they can do to reinforce their own values and their own tribe. That's why Josh voted for an administration that is using the power of big government to overrule their inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Immigrants. Hello? Like little 5-year-old Liam had his, according to Josh, God-given rights taken away by the government. Yeah, I don't see Josh Howerton all up in arms that Trump's regime is actively kidnapping our neighbors and shipping them to God knows where. Why? Because the immigrant isn't fully human in Josh's mind and is not deserving of the same rights as Josh Howerton is. That's the expose on this whole worldview. That's the emperor with no clothes. They do not believe these statements apply to everyone. They believe it applies to them, their tribe, and people who think like them or will give them the power that they want. It's just that simple. It is infuriating, but it's that simple.
Right. And also just the way that they're framing it too, which you and I called this early on, that they're going to just, they turn the term Christian nationalism and say, oh, they're just gaslighting you.
Yeah.
They're trying to convince you that you're a Christian nationalist, but really you're just being a good Christian. They're doing like this reverse gaslighting
Totally.
thing. Like it's
totally.
all projection, what they actually
100%. 100%. Friends,
All
if
right,
you're
we're
just
done with
joining,
Josh.
thank you for joining the live. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. If you're watching on Lincoln Square Media via Substack, hello. Give this stream a heart. That would be great. Reminder, we announced this earlier. The Tim and April Show is traveling. We're doing our first ever in-person event May 17th in Sarasota, Florida at Harvest Church, not affiliated with Harvest Church via Greg Laurie. This is a different church. You can go to the website. I think it's Harvest Church Sarasota to get all the details. It's a free event. There's no cost. We would love to be able to meet you guys and hang out. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Do you want to take a quick break and do a little spot for TNE, then we'll come back and keep going?
Sure.
All right, cool. We'll be right back. Hang tight.
I'm Stephen Fuchs, Community Director at the New Evangelicals. We're all trying to navigate some difficult realities. And at some point, the question becomes, how do we deal with it? That's why we built TNE Connect. It's a free online space to help you move from conversation to meaningful action. At the center is our community hub, a place for honest conversations and shared ideas. And when you're ready to take that further, TNE Action connects you with real ways to show up through advocacy, organizing, and supporting your neighbors. We also offer practical resources and starter packs to help you navigate real situations and share clear information. And we host live courses led by trusted voices, pastors, and scholars so you can learn and go deeper. The best part is everything we offer is completely free. So join at thenewevangelicals.com/connect or download the app by searching TNE Connect in the App Store and take that next step. Hope to see you there.
Heck yeah. TNE Connect is awesome. It's a great spot, so I recommend checking it out. It's totally free. You can get it on Apple, on iOS, on Google Store, or the website, thenewevangelicals.com/connect. Okay. We can't get through all of these. We're already at 45 minutes. So where do you want to go here? Gosh, there's there's just so many. I
think the rest of them are pretty short. We can skip Greg Laurie's sermon.
Really, I think that's like the biggest example of the
All right,
Christian
you want to just go to Greg Laurie's sermon then?
I think we should.
Okay.
We should talk about Greg Laurie too, honestly.
And if you'd like more information on Greg Laurie and the scandal that is happening at Harvest Church, we just spoke to 2 lawyers that are currently leading a case for a lawsuit against Greg Laurie, Harvest Church, and a couple other pastors, I think, other people involved at the
several
church.
Others.
That are also a part of the lawsuit over a massive cover-up.
So
really horrendous things.
Yeah, I just finished a script to do a deep dive on it on my other channel, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. But the TLDR is that the lawsuit alleges that Harvest Church helped establish an orphanage in Romania between 1998 to 2008, where the person leading it, his name is Paul Havsgaard, who was a pastor on staff at Harvest Church, SA'd children at the orphanage for 8 years in some of the most unimaginable, evil, depraved ways that you could possibly think of. And that leaders were made aware of this and still let Paul lead the orphanage. Even after an investigation done by 3 other pastors not part of the church reported back to the missions pastor at Harvest named Richard Schrute, saying this guy needs to be on the next plane home. He's so bad. He's embarrassing the work that we're doing as missionaries. He was still left to be there and to prey on children. That is the TLDR. I'm gonna warn you now. It's egregious stuff, and frankly, I think it's one of the biggest cover-ups that we've maybe had to talk about in modern church history, frankly, for our work, April. So if you want the details, you can go to the Tim and April Show YouTube or our podcast and hear that interview with the lawyers who brought the suit. It is horrific stuff to say the least.
Genuinely horrific. That's not hyperbole.
There's in the lawsuit is 197 pages roughly, I believe, something like that, and almost 100 of them are just the allegations. And I read through it for this video I'm working on, and I had to take a break several times to just like clear my head, because the what this person is alleged to have done, I can't think of many more things more evil than that. So anyway, we'll leave it there. But Greg Laurie is a mega church pastor who oversees Harvest, who, again, the lawsuit states was aware of these things and let this go on. But he's also, as you can imagine, a huge MAGA Christian nationalist supporter. So I pulled this clip, a montage of kind of him talking about Trump when he first got reelected in 2025 or 2024, just so you guys, again, can hear the crossover. You can hear how they weave in the theology of what their church teaches or what these pastors teach and connecting it to Trump and why God's using Trump. So here we go.
Well, Donald Trump has been elected to be the president of the United States. I think this was such an important election. So much was at stake, quite honestly. And President Trump not only won the popular vote, he also won the Electoral College. So it really, I think you could say he has a mandate from the American people. Americans are tired of this crazy woke agenda we've been dealing with for the last 4 years. We're done with it. This promoting late-term abortions, mutilating our children, men in women's sports, men in women's bathrooms, the list goes on. And I believe that God has placed President Trump in office for such a time as this, right? God has...
I mean, we should pause there. That's the talking point. Those talking points that you just heard, that is the whole reason for millions of white evangelicals that they voted for Trump. Based on lies or things that don't matter. What was the stat we read, April, in the NCAA? Right, there's like what, 250,000 athletes in college sports, and like 10 of them were transgender. Literally 10. It was such a minuscule amount. It was such a tiny amount. Yet for Greg Laurie, that is the issue at hand. The fact that there are 10 trans athletes in college sports.
Less than 10.
Less than 10. Meanwhile,
which made 0.00002%.
Meanwhile, Greg Laurie, who lives in the multi-million-dollar mansion, drives a $90,000 car around, and is worth a lot of money, he doesn't have to worry about his health care. He doesn't have to worry about livable wages. He doesn't have to worry about paying the mortgage or about the cost of gas rising over $1.50 a gallon on average in just a few short weeks, right? So it's just so frustrating to see what these folks highlight. We have real issues with the country. We have real problems that we could solve. I think one more thing I'll say about this that drives me wild, and I say it often. Right now, April, we're paying $2 billion a day for this so-called war in Iran. Congress is asking for an additional $1 billion for the ballroom. Yet you're telling me that this same Congress couldn't pass healthcare subsidies? We had to let those expire because we couldn't afford them. Like, we're just being lied to so often about what we can and can't afford. And here's Greg Laurie claiming to be a follower of the crucified and risen Jesus, who taught his followers to love their enemies and to take care of the hungry and to take care of the poor and the sick. And what's his issue? Well, Trump has been appointed by God to what? To eradicate trans people? Like, what are we doing here?
Like, I know. And notice those are the things he brings up. Like, that's the focus. It's not taking care of the poor, the widows, the orphans. We know this church didn't take care of orphans based on this lawsuit.
Exactly. So
it's
frustrating.
Just the priorities are so misplaced, but he's convincing, I don't know how many people fit in his church, but probably thousands and thousands.
15,000 attend weekly on average, plus the live stream.
Yeah, plus online, right.
Plus his crusades. He does the Harvest Crusades that pack out stadiums.
Right, and a lot of these people, the echo chamber is not a small thing. When you go to these, like, let me try to explain it for those who... If you grew up in this world, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But for those who don't, when you immerse yourself in a mega church culture or evangelical culture, they convince you that your old life, like if you become saved, your old life, your old friends, anyone who doesn't believe like you anymore is a hindrance to your relationship to God. So you are then told to kind of isolate yourself, go all in to this new community of God, to join the small group, to volunteer at services, volunteer in the nursery, volunteer for the worship team, volunteer as a greeter, like the emphasis on volunteering your time, volunteering your money, getting involved, even working for the church. Like they ask more and more and more of you. And it's never really thanked. you're not really thanked of like giving up your time. It's something that you should be doing.
Yep.
Because God has done so much for you.
Yes.
Because God has given you eternity in heaven. That's really what it boils down to. And
Yes.
how could you not give up everything for God? So
and
you end
souls
up
hang in the balance. Souls hang in the balance. Yeah.
Yes. And then you're also told like there's nothing more important than saving souls. And so if you see something that's bad or wrong going on in the ministry, or even something that makes you go, I don't like that, and you question it, you are then told, like, don't bring that up further. Don't spread that more, because what if an unbeliever hears that and that keeps them from getting saved?
Exactly.
So then you are taught to hush up. You don't say anything about, even if your instincts, even if it's God or like the Holy Spirit or whatever you want to call it, saying like, hey, something's not right here. You're told that's your sinful flesh. That is the devil. And you just become totally immersed in that world. You're also told don't listen to secular music.
Yep.
You're told don't
Yep.
watch certain shows that can teach you something. You're even told like don't go to college.
Totally.
I was part of a really large church in Virginia that encouraged the youth group to not go to college and to stay at the church, because college, even Christian colleges, could turn you woke. And so there's this you are taught to question to not question what you're told, but to be suspicious of everything that goes against what you were taught is true.
Yes. There's a replacement for everything, right? Get rid of your secular, I was going to say CDs, but that's so, I'm dating myself. Get rid of all your secular music. Here's all the Christian bands that sound like them that are Christian, right? Don't read these books anymore. Read these books instead. Don't watch these movies. Watch these movies instead. And to your point, either don't go to college, but if you do, make sure it's a college that we approve of, right? It literally is like living in a basement. And these gatekeepers interpret the world around you, and you believe their interpretation of what's actually happening outside. And right. So it's an incredibly isolating space that becomes very cult-like very quick. And your eternal destiny and the eternal destiny of your friends is tied to all of it. The stakes are high, right? They're super high.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's keep going a little bit longer here to hear more about what Greg Laurie has to say.
Trump in this position for this moment in American history. This is a man who has faced incredible challenges. 2 assassination attempts. And he himself has said publicly he believes that God has spared him. And I believe he's right. I don't know about you, but I want less, not more government in our lives.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. Greg Laurie loves that this administration is using big government, which, by the way, they've exploded our deficit. Our deficit is only growing at record amounts. He loves that the government is invading cities and arresting people with no due process. I mean, we have to really keep this in mind. I grew up on talk radio, okay? I grew up on Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, even Bob Grant back in the day before he passed away. And they always hammered the importance of a small, limited government. But they don't really believe it. They only mean it for themselves. They want to be left alone, able to continue their con, able to have no accountability, but they love when a big government invades cities that they don't like and arrests people that they think don't deserve to be here. Suddenly, there's no talk about big government. And I guarantee you, and I'm not sure if we can timestamp this for the future, maybe Cassie could write down the date. If there's ever, whenever a Democratic president gets back in, you're suddenly going to hear the threat of big governments coming. Oh, the government's going to be so big, it's going to be a police state. Meanwhile, men like Greg Laurie actively endorsed an actual police state under this administration.
Yep.
Ugh.
I fear if the other party had won, we would be facing a pretty bleak scenario right now. And I fear that some of their anger would have been directed toward Christians and the church in particular.
This is coming from a man who is worth at least $5 million or more and lives in a $5 million mansion and tours the world in front of tens of thousands of people. And he has the caucasity to say, I'm afraid that if Harris got in, she would have threatened what I was doing. Are you kidding me? I mean, Harvest Church started in the 80s. So through many Democratic presidents, Greg Laurie's ministry was able to thrive and be built and to grow, making him quite wealthy. But no, guys, we're so worried about what Harris, the Christian, would have done to Greg Laurie. Oh my gosh.
And the examples they typically use to show that Democrats are anti-Christian, despite a good majority of Democrats being Christian. They use COVID shutdowns as like some Christian persecution. That's like Sean Foyt's whole shtick and how he became well known. And then they use gay marriage. They use the idea that like, oh, gay marriage is legal now, and that goes against our rights. But in the Marriage Equality Act, there were literally already there were religious exceptions in there. Nobody was making these people marry gay people, but they freaked out anyway. And then the most recent is the Joe Biden's wishing people a happy Trans Day of Visibility on Easter because it just happened to fall on the same day. And they lost their minds over that because they don't understand calendars.
Which reminds me, I'm going to work on a deep dive on this, but so I'm not sure if you guys all know this, but the Trump administration's anti-Christian bias task force released their damning report of Joe Biden's crazy anti-Christian bias. You know, the devout Catholic being anti-Christian. In the report, one of the examples they cite, and I'm not kidding, I have it right here, in the report, is one of the examples they cite as proof that Joe Biden was anti-Christian was the fact that Joe Biden proclaimed on Easter Sunday, March 31st, as Transgender Day of Visibility, demonstrating a profound lack of consideration for the Christian faith. Never mind that Easter lands on different calendar days, depending on what year it is, but Transgender Day of Visibility is always on the 31st. The two just happen to coincide. Joe Biden did what has been done for years, about recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility, and also acknowledged Easter. And this is one
different posts.
Two different posts. And this is one of the examples they cite in their 200-page report that Joe Biden was anti-Christian. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose it. I just cannot believe these people. So and Greg Laurie's out here like, wow, we dodged a bullet here. Woo, we dodged a bullet. Give me a break. Okay, watch one more minute or two, then we'll wrap up with Greg, because my gosh. So here we go.
We would be facing a pretty bleak scenario right now, and I fear that some of their anger would have been directed toward Christians and the church in particular. It's a pivotal moment for our nation. We need to get back to God again. We need to get back to the Bible again, and it will make all the difference in the future of the United States. So why don't we take a moment to pray for our president? Thank you for placing Donald Trump in the presidency. And we pray now that you give him wisdom to make the right decisions, to have the right people surrounding him. We pray for godly counsel around him. We pray for competent people to help him do this job that you've called him to do.
So far,
I don't think God answered that
prayer. Yeah. So far, Greg, God has not answered that prayer. And look, I mean, I just don't know how a pastor claiming to follow Jesus leads people in a prayer thanking God for a man who brags about assaulting women, a man who lies, a man who has enriched himself while in office at the expense of taxpayers, a man whose businesses have not paid people fairly. I just don't know how you ask God to bless a man like that. I don't understand.
I also just think it's funny. He didn't actually mention Romans 13, but there's this Romans 13 verse that they always quote when a Republican is president, which is that God gives us authority and that we need to basically follow the governing authorities that God places. But when a Democrat is in power, they don't quote that verse, because he was just like, thank you, God, for placing President Trump. I can almost guarantee you he did not make that same prayer when God placed Joe Biden.
No, yes, exactly. Let's do one more, then we can wrap. I want to do the Sean Foyt Mark Driscoll one. I think that one is so icing on the cake. Are you cool with that, April?
Yeah, go for it.
I gotta find it though. Is it this one? Oh, this one too.
Oh, we do have another job. Oh, they're awful.
Let's just play it.
Okay.
This is Josh Howerton. Sorry. This one honestly is the worst out of the bunch that you have to hear. I'm sorry, we have to. Don't get mad at me.
Who's this other guy?
I don't know. He's some podcasting bro evangelical. again, like it makes you wonder how they think. But here you go.
You're going to see what the electoral map would look like if only men voted. And then you're going to see the electoral map, what it would look like if only women voted. And I want to talk about why you think this is. So toss that one up. Obviously, on the left, that's what the electoral map would look like if only women voted. And then on the right hand, you got if only dudes voted. This is like every election, that gap seems to get wider and wider and wider. Somebody want to take this first?
The biblical ideology, right, is that a husband and a wife, and I'm my wife's protector, I'm my wife's covering, the family unit. And as the universities have begun to dismantle that, and we've seen those statistics of how many females are just opting out of marriage altogether. And I wonder if this is all anecdotal and theoretical for me, but I wonder if it's because they now are married to the state. So if the state becomes their protector and not their husbands, then they would vote for that. And when you reverse it with the men, especially voting the other direction, if you're under 30 right now, you don't even remember a time where you weren't being blamed for being the entire problem of society, of a young white male. Yeah. I'm at least old enough to remember before we were blamed for that. But so you've got men who've been completely marginalized saying, okay, someone's finally speaking for me, voting for them. And then women saying, I don't want a man, I don't want a husband, and I'll let the state be my God and not God be my God. That's my theory.
That's a real video, friends. That's not AI. I
hate when men when they talk about women, they say females.
Females.
To me, that's an immediate red flag.
Of course.
These females. Like,
and us white men who are marginalized, it's so weird that not weird. It's just it's so telling that Josh Howerton will scapegoat actual marginalized people and then make it seem like white men who run the entire country are the marginalized ones in society.
I can't.
I mean, I don't want to sound mean, but like, how stupid do you have to be to really believe this BS? Honestly, I think at some point we have to be honest about this. How do you really think that white men in this country are marginalized? Like, I would love to know, considering that a white man in his very white cabinet that's actively rolling back black voting rights at the hands of a very white Supreme Court are somehow the marginalized ones here. Josh? I get angry when I hear men like this who place themselves in position of spiritual authority say things that are so absolutely false. It just infuriates me. And then to blame women, I mean, men I almost said erected. Men elected a man who bragged about sexually assaulting women. Why do you think women don't like this dude? Like, just use the 2 brain cells you have left, Josh, and put 2 and 2 together.
I don't know, Tim. I mean, if I'm being honest, I voted Democrat not because the other side wanted to take away my reproductive rights or my right to vote, or because the guy that they were running, as you said, was an adjudicated R word. I really just wanted to vote blue because I think the government makes a great husband.
That makes sense, April. That makes sense.
Yeah. I was just like, you know what? I look at the government as an entity and I thought, I'd like to be married to that.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Does the government pay for your health care as a good partner would?
No.
Did you get any paid family leave, when you had children? Again, being a good covering, I would imagine the government would be, since you love it so much.
I did not.
Are your grocery prices lower? Is your gas price lower because of the government?
No.
Wow. Sounds like a pretty bad spouse.
Greatest spouse I ever had.
So stupid.
They're so stupid.
I'm sorry. Like, what other word can we use? And this is what's shaping
Didn't Erica
culture.
Kirk make some kind of she said something similar when they were talking about why did so many women vote for Zoran Mamdani?
Yes.
And she was like, I think they wanted to marry him because he's the government.
They wanted to marry the state.
It was something similar. It was weird.
They are really good at repeating talking points. They are really good at that. Married to the state. What does it even mean? All right, very last one, then we'll be done. Then we'll go to some weird Christian bleep. Where is it though? Is it this one? No, is it this one? Oh, these are the same ones. I must have the wrong video up. I want to play this last one. I think it's the cherry on top of it's Driscoll and Sean Foyt. Sorry. Oh, I got it. Boop. So again, for those who don't know, Mark Driscoll is a former megachurch pastor who was so narcissistic and had such anger issues that he destroyed his church in Seattle called Mars Hill. 40 of his own elders wrote a letter stating he's not fit to lead in ministry. There's a podcast called The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill that documents exactly what happened. And Mark Driscoll has been able to reinvent himself and become bigger than ever because right-wing Christian nationalist organizations like Turning Point USA still platform this man. That's who is in front of you right now, okay? This guy has a mountain of bodies behind him. And he's even bragged about that before, by the way. He also made an alternate username called William Wallace II, where he would say misogynistic and gross things online, including calling women penis homes. That is Mark Driscoll.
I want to point out, too, he wrote a book leading up to this election that is placed in front of him in this video. You can't see the whole thing, but it says "Vote like Jesus," and it's a very white Jesus on the cover. You can imagine how he thinks Jesus would vote.
So he's talking to another grifter named Sean Foyt, who's best friends with Russell Brand because predators stay together or something, and they're talking about how easy this election, when it was a thing, was. Listen to this clip.
So do you think that there's any argument to be made for a Bible-believing Christian to support the Harris-Walz campaign?
This is not a hard election. This is not a difficult, complex thing. There's no nuance here. One side wants to cut off body parts of children. One side wants to kill babies up until the 9th month of them being in the womb. One side wants a complete hijacking of the economy with government-controlled food prices, which always leads to socialism and destruction.
Completely.
This is not difficult. The fact that pastors and leaders have to even have these conversations shows how deceived the American church is. There's no nuance. There's no difficulty here. It's very easy.
There you go. Very easy.
You have it again. Mutilate children and abortion.
This is what it's like.
Literally what they go to.
For people like me and April and many folks watching this stream, this was what it was like growing up in church. You were bombarded, whatever the talking point was. It wasn't so much for me. It wasn't transgender people. It was gay marriage was a big one for me. It was abortion, of course, was for me. Which, by the way, again, like Roe v. Wade's been overturned, but it's still not enough for them. But whatever. This is what you're told. You're just it's reinforced in every corner of the world of that cult you occupy. How you vote. This is what it means to vote for biblical values. Biblical values equals voting against the rights of our queer neighbors, voting against the right of bodily autonomy, and it means voting for the greedy, because usually you're voting for the billionaire class. So it's actually quite inverted, but you don't think about it like that because you've been brainwashed to believe, like Sean said, that other people are deceived, not you.
Yeah. Also, he actually kind of says a quiet part out loud there where he says there's no nuance. These are people that have a very black and white ideology. You are either on their side, which is the side of good and God, or you're on the side of the devil. Yep. There's literally no in between. And so they equated the last election as Kamala. If you voted for her, you were on the side of Satan. There are some people that called her demonic, a Jezebel spirit, a witch, the Antichrist.
Evil.
But if you vote for Donald Trump, who was on a hot mic bragging about assaulting women, that was somehow the side of God.
Yep. That's there you go, friends. That's how it works. That world is so effective in their messaging. 80% of white evangelicals to this day support this administration. Despite their gas prices going up, despite the wars that Trump promised would never happen, despite all the lies and Trump being a predator himself, having credible accusations that he assaulted a girl, it doesn't matter. Touch not God's anointed, because transgender people don't exist anymore magically, or because whatever other culture war talking point, this is it. This is what it looks like. It's just it's a world built on lies. And the reason why April and I are so passionate about it is because they're hurting our neighbors. They are destroying the fabric of our economy, which is so, again, funny for Sean Foyt to say that if Harris got in, they would have destroyed our economy. Has he looked around? The job market is not really growing. The economy is so turbulent. The tariffs did not do anything like what Trump said they would do. We're in another war, paying $2 billion of our taxpayer money every day to kill kids overseas. Please tell me, Sean, how things are better. But they won't give you the answer because they live in a world of make-believe. They live in a world that is not real. Unfortunately, they are so committed to their cause, they believe that God has anointed them with the power and the ability to take over the 7 mountains of influence, that they will stop at nothing, which is why I tell people, and I don't like saying this, but it's the truth, you cannot reason with Christian nationalists like we just showed you. They are not looking to compromise. They're not looking for good faith. They're not looking to find the common ground. They believe that people not like them are controlled by demons or are themselves demonic. And you can't negotiate with demons. You can't redeem demons. You can't work for a better world with demons. And so we have to find a way forward that includes leaving your Josh Howertons and Mark Driscolls behind, because they don't want to change. They don't want to accept new information. In their mind, we are the bad people and they are God's chosen. You can't reason your way out of that. It's impossible.
Well, and also note that these people have monetary reasons to never change their mind.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really good. Really good. They're making a lot of money. So, all right. Anyway.
We have super chats.
Yeah. Can you read these? I'll pull them up.
Yeah.
I'll grab them for you. There you go.
Okay. Whoa. That's a lot.
Thank
you. From Morton Revheim. Tim, something has gone terribly wrong. My brain. I'm scared. You're scared. We're scared of this.
Amen. I'm with you.
Thank you so much for that super chat. From Stevie Clown 2000, gotta love the scare tactics line. What hypocrites these MAGA people do. Totally. Joseph Compton. I'm thoroughly convinced that conservative white evangelical Christians are perhaps the most spiritually lost and deceived people in the nation. The sad thing is that they're too proud to see it. I could see that. Thank you for the super chat. From Prez Bass. Your video on Greg Laurie's mission in Romania really affected me. I think it's time for Christians to stand up and fight with zero tolerance for anything bad involving children. Absolutely. Thank 100%. You so much for the super chat. Joseph Compton, again, thank you. They've made God in their own image. They think God's angry at them and the nation. That's so true.
Okay, real quick, friends, before we get to our last segment, our Weird Christian Bleep, we are following a story that is
bizarre.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I give the headline?
You do it.
Okay. There are a few pastors on the interweb that are claiming that the U.S. government officials brought a bunch of pastors to a random Airbnb to have a secret meeting where they were not allowed to record or have their cell phones or anything, and were then told that the government is about to reveal some information that basically says that aliens are real. And that they need to start preparing their church because they think this could lead to people questioning their faith.
Yep. This is
Christian Twitter is freaking out.
MSN is reporting on this along with some other channels. According to Stone, the officials warned a small group of pastors with a large reach in the Christian community that the government was about to release reports and possibly videos of aliens and spacecraft which were not from this planet. That's the alleged meeting. Now, I will say the people spreading this they look like this, just to give you guys an example of their background set. So,
can I just say, this is Perry Stone, and he's from Cleveland, Tennessee, which is where I used to live.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar with Perry's. He's
who is
very
Perry?
Pentecostal.
Okay. Say no more.
Very Pentecostal.
Charismatic, prophecy. Okay. And I did notice that the people that it seems were part of this alleged meeting were more on the charismatic side, who tend to spread crazy things anyway. These are the people who thought that, God wasn't done with Trump, which is why God was going to magically overturn the election results. Kat Kerr, who we've covered, talks about visiting heaven and seeing Charlie Kirk riding a dinosaur while rollerblading. Like, it's really weird stuff. So Perry Stone is kind of in that lane. So I don't take this with like, a lot of weight, but it is a thing that we are following because why not? Why not? So.
We did have one more super chat come in.
Oh, then all right, cool. Then we'll do our Weird Christian Bleep.
Oh, 2 more super chats.
Oh. Okay, here's one.
Paul for equality. God sent Trump to expose the moral rot within his church. MAGA. Now we know who the white supremacists are in our church. I mean,
it's a positive take.
Yeah. And then from Melanie and Lee, Donald Trump is the one with the Jezebel spirit, controlling, excluding. I kind of like giving men the Jezebel spirit because I feel like they would really hate that. Just saying, you have a Jezebel spirit, just throw it back at them.
No, I'm with you. All right. Last segment. Shall we get to it?
Yes. Weird Christian shit.
Hopefully I have it up.
Should Christian...
I do.
Okay,
I'm ready
let
to
me
go.
explain this for those who may not know. This guy's talking about Fortnite, which is a video game. It is a first-person shooter, last one standing wins, battle royale type game. And
Thank you for telling me. I don't play Fortnite. No clue. So
I actually do play Fortnite. So you can earn V-Bucks and you can buy certain, they're called skins. When he says skins, it basically just means they're different characters that you can buy and you can play as.
Okay.
That is
Here
context for this video.
Should Christians buy thick Fortnite skins, or is that sinful? The skin itself is not magically sinful just because of how it looks. But Christians should still think about what influences their thoughts, desires, and attention. Even non-Christians should be aware. See, the Bible teaches that lust starts in the heart long before actions happen outwardly. So what matters most is whether something is pulling you closer to God or distracting you from Him. So, what do you think crosses a line? Is it okay or is it not? Should...
There you go.
Reminds me of that meme that's like, there are people dying, Kim.
I just wish that they would apply this to Trump. Like, out of all the things happening in the world, this is what you want people to know about? Like, you're asking the question if a certain type of skin in Fortnite is sinful or not? How about you think about who you voted for? Like, what?
I don't know. Maybe this guy has. I don't know. But I'm just like, I just say, I am so glad I don't live in that world anymore where I have to just like overthink every little thing that I do to be like, is this sinful? Does this glorify God? Is this outfit God honoring? Like, How
about going out on a date where you think I have to marry this person or else? I've been there. I'm like dating in church is not like, hey, we got dinner, we had a nice time, we're enjoying each other's company. No, it's like, is this the one or not? Are you going to marry this person or not? Don't play games. Don't play games. Like, after dinner, after the first dinner you go to, you need to know, is this person your soulmate or not? Like, you're just second guessing everything all the time.
Oh, I know. It's so exhausting. But the guy, you could tell he was struggling. He played Fortnite. He probably bought a skimpy skin and was like, is this honoring God? I should make a video about it. We need to talk about this. This is important stuff in the kingdom of God.
Yeah, kids are being bombed in Iran, but hey, here's a real important question. Check your heart, friends, when you play Fortnite. Like, oh my gosh.
We got a new super chat.
It's a sword drill.
Oh gosh. Okay, swords up.
Ready?
Hold on. What is it?
Mark 12:17.
Mark 12:17. Go.
Okay.
Mark 12.
I got it.
No, you didn't.
Then Jesus told them, give back to Caesar the things that are Caesar's and to God the things that are God's, and they were amazed at him. Boom! 2-0, baby!
Dang it.
Thanks for the super chat, Uncle Fatty.
Maybe I need a better Bible. Maybe my pages are too thin.
Here come the excuses. Okay, that must be it. Yeah. Or I'm paying people ahead of time and bookmarking. Just kidding. All right, friends, well, that's all the time we got on this show. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you for the super chats and for following us. Like we said, we're going to be in Sarasota, Florida, May 17th in person at Harvest Church, sponsored by the New Evangelicals and, of course, Harvest Church. It's going to be a great time. It's totally free, so make sure you show up. We'd love to meet you and say hello. And we will be back here we'll be back here on YouTube on Tuesday with the video, and then we'll be back live on Thursday on Substack and on YouTube. So I'm Tim Whitaker.
And I'm April Ajoy.
See ya.
Bye-bye.